Welcome back to an all-new installment of Super Metal Brothers here on the old podcast. I'm Super Metal Brother Matt.
And I'm Super Metal Brother Dan.
And we are here talking news, reviews, and so much more. But first, we have a bit of a surprise for the listeners today, Danny.
Yeah, we've actually had a really big news ourselves, and we want to share with you, but if we tell you now, you might not hear the end, so make sure you stick around, I reckon.
Yeah, we want you to stick around this whole podcast. We've got so much to tell you and bore you with, but, you know, let's go on with the show. Hey, Danny.
Yeah, we got so many jokes and jokes and jokes. If you don't stick around to the end, you miss out. You're not doing yourself a favour. Yeah. So please stick around for the big news at the end.
I kind of feel like if we say jokes to them, they'll remember to laugh.
we need like some sort of like symbol. Like, unfortunately, us waving our hands, no one can see that.
Please feel sorry for us.
Yeah. But who are we reviewing though? I think we should tell them our album we're reviewing.
Yeah, but before we go into the news, we're actually reviewing a band called Omophagia, and this
Omophagia.
The latest album is actually called In the Name of Chaos. Now, Daniel's got a hell of a lot to talk about. You know, his love for blast beats and all that kind of jazz is really what got into this album, eh, Danny?
Exactly right. Yeah, this is one right up my alley, so I can't wait to review this album in a couple of minutes' time. But first, we have other things to go with.
Yeah, let's take it off with the news story, and very much on the top of the chopping block. And this is quite a massive chopping block. Brock Lesnar, Danny.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, basically Brock Lesnar, if you don't know who he is, he kind of jumps between the UFC, which is Ultimate Fighting, basically two guys wrestling with no clothes on in really homoerotic moves, to the WWE, where guys wrestle with no clothes on doing homoerotic moves.
Yeah, but one's more flashy and has more fireworks, so it's cool. It's cool.
But what Brock Lesnar did was beat a fellow, I guess you could call him an Aussie. He did wrestle, I guess UFC was wrestling, I guess, in a sense. He was doing it born in New Zealand, lives in Australia right now, and lost to Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I mean, he classified himself in Australia. I believe someone on his Facebook page made fun or called him out about this whole Australia thing, and he pretty much told him to go sit on it. So I guess we normally like to adapt. Australia likes to adapt winners. So because he's a winner, we like to adapt him.
We do, but this is Super Metal Brothers. So our Super Metal listeners right now are thinking, what are you guys talking about? Well, funny enough, Brock Lesnar comes out too, and I'm a little surprised to say it, but Enter Sandman, and you might know the song from a little-known band called, I can't even remember what they called, Danny. Metallic?
Something? Dave Mustaine's Side Project.
Dave Mustaine's Side Project. For those who don't know, check our first podcast. Did that actually surprise you, Danny, coming out to such a low-known band?
Oh, no, it's good to see like a guy uses notoriety to like help a struggling band come out there and go to a big audience, because I think a lot of those people probably don't know who this Metal Liquor band is.
Well, funny enough, it's not the first time in a ring that we've seen or heard a Metallica song. In fact, the guy called Sandman back in ECW was using the exact same song for his intro music, and he would walk through the crowd, and 3 minutes later when the song was finished, they'd eventually end up wrestling. So it is a good one to start off with, but wow, I would have picked so many other songs from so many other bands, like Hypocrisy, Complete Psychosis comes to mind, something a bit more adrenaline rushing. But what do you reckon, Dennis? Other songs that remind you of a good intro to pump the crowd or yourself up?
Definitely Slave Shall Serve from Behemoth is pretty cool.
Great
song. But I guess I understand like the symbolism of like Enter Sandman, so he's going to put you to sleep. So to be fair, these guys...
Make of your children, that kind of thing.
Yeah, all that stuff. I don't think Brock Lesnar really thinks ultra hard or has quite a unilateral way of thinking. So for him, he saw Sandman, and that's enough for him to come out to it. Yeah,
that was interesting with Brock Lesnar coming out to the song. But good on him for trying to help put over a band. Let's move on to another story, though, which comes from... this guy's making a regular occurrence with the Super Metal Brothers. Between him and Ozzy Osbourne, there's plenty of stories, but Axl Rose. Now, this story is interesting because a fellow roadie has devolved information to teamrock.com.
Is that, I guess, like the roadie code? Is that like the roadie Bible? They shall not speak of another roadie's problems?
This makes for a really interesting story. So anyway, on a Guns N' Roses tour... Apparently, Axl Rose has sent out a roadie, and he sent him out to go back to England because they were doing a tour because he forgot his yellow jacket. Literally, the one job that he sent the roadie to do was go back to pick up a yellow jacket and return it to him for his next show. Could you see this jacket playing an important part of a set list for Guns N' Roses, Danny?
Well, I get the yellow jacket plus the red hair. Maybe he was trying as April O'Neil for the next Turtles movie.
I was thinking November Rain, like maybe they were actually raining and he needed it.
It's like a yellow rain jacket.
Because I have no other idea how integral a yellow jacket would be to a Guns N' Roses gig.
Maybe this is the only way AC/DC will let Axl Rose be Axl Rose. Something that doesn't affect them on stage. Because you can be this guy off stage, but when you come to stage, you have to be like, air quotes, normal. So maybe this is the way he can still be Axl Rose.
Yeah, I think Axl Rose being Axl Rose, and there are no stories of redemption here with Axl Rose. It just seems like every time someone comes out, whether it's him or a fan, it just gets even more hilarity. So I guess never changed is the real thing we're trying to say here. Hey, Danny.
Yeah, I guess maturity hits everybody a bit later on.
Yeah, talking about things that will never change, this one is a particular one that's dear to so many people's hearts, and it's Phil Anselmo talking about Pantera and the potential, really, this is only a hypothetical, the return of Pantera. Now, Danny, he's mentioned, because fans wanted to see it, as Zakk Wylde as a replacement. What do you think, Zakk Wylde to a potential Pantera reunion?
Well, Zakk Wylde, I guess the main guitarist going around at the moment is probably what you think the obvious choice would be, because, I mean, playing quality's there. He's got the look. He's got the sound. He's a big lad. He's probably around the same era of guitar players. I mean, yeah, you think Zakk Wylde would be the logical choice purely just on guitarist point of view. Yeah,
well, reading the interview with Phil Anselmo, the basic premise is that he doesn't actually see it happening in the sense that the grip and the way that Dimebag would play the guitar can't be replicated. And though I would agree with that, I would definitely... And he did say that Zakk Wylde has chops. Like, there's no difference. He would never be able to play the song, but give them the attention that they would need for a Pantera, like a homage to the old days. I don't know. I think Zakk Wylde can exactly do all that and so much more. I think Phil Anselmo is being... just trying to politely say to the fans, yeah, this will never happen.
I think you're right. There's still bigger problems, issues to overcome with him and his relationship with Vinnie Paul.
Yep.
I think there's a whole book about this, actually, from what I understand about their relationship and, I guess, the afterthoughts of Pantera and how they get along. And I think from what I understand is that Vinnie Paul still has a lot of anger and even somewhat blames Phil for Dimebag's death. So
definitely what he did say, that it was a very bad split up, and it's like, why would you return back to your ex-wife who you have ill feelings towards? So in that sense, I'm with Phil in the sense that, yeah, just try to quash any chance of a Pantera reunion, because this is definitely one ship that's never going to sail.
Yeah, I think maybe Phil has been hearing rumblings about people saying, oh, maybe Zakk would be a great person for Pantera if they did a reunion. So maybe it feels like, okay, yes, I'm thinking of how you guys are thinking. I see where you're coming from, but no, I'm probably going to play it off anyway. So he kind of like satisfies the fans' thinking, but also says, no, not really.
Yeah, sorry to the Pantera fans out there in radio lands. It's not going to happen anytime soon, but let's stick with the singer's theme and maybe something a little bit more uplifting. Angela Gosso. You know her? I bet you do. She's the blonde chick that used to be the singer for Arch Enemy. Now, she actually went to talk about with certain metal publications about losing her joy and her eventual retirement from the band. She's a full-time manager with it. But Danny, funny story about how she got the new singer, Angela Gust, is it?
I don't know how to pronounce her name. Lisa, I think, is enough for me. Lisa White something. Yeah. You don't know who she is. Blue hair, not bad looking and all that, which is always a bonus. But going back to the reason Matt pointed back to me, it's one of those fairy tales, a stalker's fairy tale come to life. Because stalking us, I'll explain. What happens after one of the gigs, Alyssa, they went up to Angela and said, oh, the way you sang, I can't remember the song, the way you sang the song got me into screaming. And apparently Angela was quite taken back by this and, heard Alyssa, I think I'm saying it right.
White Gluz.
Yeah, Gluz, yeah.
Gluz.
Heard her stuff on YouTube or Facebook, whatever, one of these social media pages. I liked the sound of it, sound of her singing. So when it was coming close to Angela's retirement, I guess she just automatically had a good replacement for her to take over. So, see, stalkers can become their own heroes.
Yeah, it's funny enough. You have this crossroads. Either you're going to have the police rock up your house, or you would get the lifetime gig with your favorite band. So I suggest to all our fans listening,
Yeah, just harass the shit out of your favorite musician, and maybe one day you replace them. I think they make a movie on this, don't they?
See, that's there must be some sort of legislation around this, but congratulations to Annalisa Gloss for putting the seed of doubt into Angela's head to lose the joy for the band and strategically putting herself in it. Pretty sure I've seen this on American Horror Stories once.
There must. I'm pretty sure there's a movie. I'm not that good with movies, but I'm pretty sure it sounds like a movie plot.
Yeah, that was good on her. So we'll move on to another singer again. This is a theme going on today, Danny. Is this deliberate?
Yeah, I do rate singers highly above all other musicians.
Now, we did talk about this beautiful artist last week called Roddy Romero, who did the gig for Richie Blackmore Experience. I wouldn't call it Rainbow.
Featuring Rainbow songs.
Featuring Rainbow / Deep Purple songs.
Yeah.
But what was more important, he prepares to sing on the gigs when he's talking about Rainbow, not like so much like Ronnie James Dio or Dave Copdale, but what was I going to say? I can't remember now.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say. He'd rather sing the songs as Ronnie Romero, not sing the songs as Ronnie James Dio, Copdale, because people don't want to see you do a complete replica, because you're just not going to do it justice, or you're just not going to do it, and no one. Yeah, your tone and your sound and delivery and nuances are all completely different. So use what you're strong at and just sing the song. As long as you're in tune, you get a bit of power behind it. I think that's what people want to see.
That was incredibly touching, Danny. I think you've just made everyone feel so much better about their stalking now.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. You too can be the lead singer of your favorite band.
All right, so what was more interesting about this article is he teased the potential return of Rainbow for more shows, possibly next year. Is this a bit of fan service, or is there any weight to it, Danny?
Oh, look, until it comes from Richie Blackmore's mouth and until the shows are booked, I just don't think you can take what anyone else says with a grain of salt.
Yeah, Richie Blackmore is 71, and his mood can change like that. So the blunt was cool. We were glad we saw it. It could happen, but we are nowhere near on the edge of our seat on this one.
Oh, yeah. And even so, I don't think a world tour is in order. I'm not too sure of the popularity of Rainbow these days.
Yeah. So let's talk about I guess this story really made me happy because it was a bit of justice served in the music community that happened over the last couple of weeks. And it's the Houston Police Department. Now, obviously, in the news, the police have gotten somewhat of a really bad rap at the moment, Danny. Bit of negative light on them.
Yeah, it's what's happening in America at the moment, I guess. It draws a bad line. It starts to blur the lines between, authority and vigilantism, nearly. So we probably won't go too far into that, but this is actually a good story about the police have done.
So let's talk about a plus for the Houston Police Department. They're alongside the nearby Pasadena and Baton Police Departments and the Department of Homeland Security. Yeah, that's right. Have busted one massive ring of thieves who are stealing basically gear or musician equipment, anything that's tied into this. 130 people were arrested, Danny, and over 200 charges.
Yeah, this is a brilliant work by the police officers. The main way bands these days make money is through touring, and for you to let's say park your bus or your van, whatever you rented, because they're probably rented, they can't afford to buy a vehicle, outside your hotel, go inside, get a couple of Z's, and for you to wake up next morning losing your equipment, therefore losing your income. It
happens to Jeff Loomis, and I remember actually had to throw some money. I just could not see my idol not being able to drive home. Like his van got broken into, lost a bunch of his equipment, so they were doing a Patreon for it. And hopefully that was one of those people, so we can see some justice and some closure around it, because funny enough, this wasn't even featured on a metal magazine. This was featured in a country music magazine, this article.
Yeah, that threw me. I'm surprised you read those magazines, Matt.
Yeah, I tend to avoid them like the plague because country just... There's something about it that hits a nerve in my brain and just wires across it, and it's like, this is bringing up Vietnam War stories, Matt. You need to seek help. But Congratulations to that, because these guys were operating in groups of 11 or 12 people sometimes, just going around and strategically doing it. So let's talk about some more heroes, Danny, because we're really on fire at the moment. I think this is probably the best super metal broadcast we've done to date.
Yeah, we're building up to that big news story at the end of the show, man.
That's right. Christopher Gamboik. Don't know him? Well, now you will, because this guy has been accredited to chucking a beer bottle at a bartender for changing Black Sabbath song to a Christmas tune.
Well, I completely agree with this, because for starters, it's July. So anyone who's any bartender changing a song to a Christmas tune, obviously needs to smack around the head because there's something mentally wrong with these people.
Yeah, normally don't condone violence of any kind, but what he's done is created like a safer world for all of us by playing, Black Sabbath songs.
Oh yeah, the world's a better place when you hear Ozzy sing.
Like throwing beer bottles.
I think he was just returning the beer bottle because I think you should recycle this beer bottle. Bartender was a poor catch and hit him in the head.
Yeah,
so.
Symbolic. He was handing him with pace of this needs to be a Black Sabbath song. So like handing the baton back over to him. So unfortunately, because maybe he listens to Christmas tunes in July, he's probably a bit slow.
I think so. I think it's completely on the bartender's fault and Christmas tunes in July. I know people get excited Christmas in July. It's not one of those stupid marketing things to sell more crap. So don't fall into that thing and listen to Black Sabbath. There are 2 lessons from that story.
Okay, so we'll finish it off with just a basic cover of a story that's actually caught our attention. I hope everyone's okay. But Randy Blythe was actually hit in a car accident the other day. It seems like they were put off to the side of the road, and a lady who was driving, he claims was quite inattentive to what was going on, slammed right into him and created quite the scene. Hope he's okay, Danny.
Yeah, I think this is the worst way to try getting someone's autograph. You know? You're driving like, hey, is that Randy Blythe and Lamb of God?
Pretty sure. Let me just go get closer. Oh my God, it's Randy Blythe.
Randy, go get your signature. Yeah, I'm a subpoena when I sue you, you bastard.
Oh, yeah. There's so many other ways, but there you go. Randy Blythe had some really bad luck over the last couple of years, and he must be thinking someone's watching over him right now.
Yeah, it's one of those like bittersweet things where you have so much like negative stories, but you've always come out better from them. So as long as you still see the bright side of it and maybe write some cool lyrics and songs because of this.
Yeah, I think he wrote a book
nice.
about what happened with... it almost sent the band bankrupt with the law reform with the person who was allegedly pushed, which ended up not to be true because it wasn't even the same person. But there you go, Randy. So Godspeed to you, mate. Just keep plugging along and, we'll see you in another 40 years.
Yeah, and they'll be here in Australia in November.
Yeah.
And also in Adelaide as well. So credit to Lamb of God. If you haven't heard them, please check them stuff out. It's quite good.
Alyssa Glue's good.
Yeah, groovy.
Headline. All right, let's talk the major story. This is where people really like to tune in to see our thoughts on one of the biggest stories that's happened in the week and our thoughts and feelings around it.
Yes, and sometimes narrow-mindedness, but we think, opposite of that, we think it's quite educated and informed.
Oh, absolutely. When you spend 10 minutes on Google a day, you know that your opinion matters more than anyone else's.
Exactly. I have a camera phone, therefore I know more than you do.
Speaking of camera phones, this is the story we're talking about. It's Apple. Now, the Apple, you know them from making your computers, to your phones, to the delicious edible object in your mum's house. They filed a patent for infrared technology that sends signals to phones' cameras, right? Now, earlier this week, this patent was granted. Now, Matt, what are you talking about? How does this got to do with metal and music?
Yeah,
Danny.
Yeah, what are these infrared technologies send signals to their phones that you speak of?
What these are going to do is basically make your phone turn into a self-aware T-800 from the Terminator movies.
No, I'm getting scared now.
You should be, because what happens is now you'll go to a concert, you will try to record it, but the phone would know you're at this concert, and it would know this band's on, so it would disable the function for you recording the actual event.
So what you're saying is that people from now on, when they go to see bands play live, they actually have to see a band play live.
That's potentially what you're actually saying is true. What will happen is back to what would happen at concerts 20 years ago.
Oh, not even 20. Like 10 years ago, phones were pretty sharp back then.
Yeah, that's right. You tried to do it on those first, you would get this pixelated mess and the sound would be all crappy.
And the tumor.
It'd be basically, yeah, exactly. Medical bill and the St. Agnes album on your phone. It's not a good thing. But why do you think this is a good thing, Danny? And why do you see this as being a potentially a negative thing on the lighter fans?
Yeah, I'm pro this. I'm not really one of those people who record live music. For starters, it's just the quality is terrible. And I don't even know how many people actually go back and listen to their recording they've just done. It's like, oh, I'm here recording this song, so I want to listen. No, you're not, because hearing it live is completely better, like, out of this world number. I can't even think of the number at the moment, and that's coming from like an engineer. So all I know is numbers. That's how I get home at night. Just like reading numbers.
Yeah.
So it's so much better to hear and experience it live than just to lose the moment and look through your phone and not experience the moment. Wow. And then you even listen to it again later. So I can only see this as a positive thing.
Yeah, you know who else agrees with you on this, Danny?
Me, myself, and I.
Super metal brother Corey from Slipknot.
Whoa, Corey from Slipknot. Go on. Well,
he must have been listening to this show before we recorded it, because he actually had a fan in front of, like, right at the front, right at the gate, recording on his phone, right? I'm not too sure if he was recording it, but it was definitely on his phone. Corey Taylor goes right up to it and does a Dikembe Mutombo, and he's like slaps it out of his hand. And, you know, he's getting praise for it, you know. He broke some guy's phone, and funny enough, Disturbed got in trouble for it because there was actually a lady who got basically abused for doing the exact same thing, was her on her phone, and, you know, our favourite vocalist from our band, he actually called her out on it, but then she had a good reason, like babysitting or something like that. So it's a bit like, you know, if they want to be on their phones is one thing, but if they're going to record it, maybe this isn't so bad.
Yeah, I mean, also going on that, Bruce Dickinson called out a fan once for being on his phone. Again, that fan was like 3 rows back. So for you to switch off and be on your phone, I guess the artist maybe feel insulted, saying, no, I was here to entertain you, but it feels like I'm boring you, so you've decided to switch off and go to your phone. I'm not sure if that's part of it. Also, the Corey Taylor thing, I understand where his fans coming from, because that whole, all these kids and even, unfortunately, adults are playing that new Pokemon Go game. Oh. So when you see these Slipknot guys on stage, you probably confuse it for Pokemon. This guy was
trying to catch a Charmander.
He's trying to catch, like, Corey. So come here, man.
Got to catch a Corey. Slipknot. Yeah, that's a really good point. You know, it's really along. This looks like it's gonna happen. I mean, the technology is still quite young, and it's gonna take a while to see it implemented. But if this is gonna happen, what would hopefully replace it is we'll see things like what happened at Grass Pop, where a couple of bands come out and shown the whole entire set list being recorded at quite a high level.
Yeah.
So the fans would get to see what the gig they were at all the best possible angles, making their favourite vocalists look incredibly good.
Well, that's true. I mean, not too many bands release a lot of live DVDs. So some of the smaller bands, if you want to see them live, the only chance you can see them play live is through these people's amateur videoing, I guess.
Well, funny enough, like if the bands then decide to have it or record, like you said, in streams, they actually can control more of what's going on. They'll have better access to having better facilities for the fans. So then, like you were saying, fans on YouTube don't see as crappy, 16 bits from a Mega Drive game pop up on their screen of their favorite Flesh God gig. They'll actually see something that the band knows that they want people to hear. It actually might work out better for everyone. Yeah,
it's true, because I guess the recordings you hear live is what you judge metal bands with. A lot of metal bands, they sound as good as they do on a CD, if not better live, because they have the passion, the raw, and the gritty sound, the distortion. You actually feel it. So if you're getting these really poor recordings and putting it on like YouTube or whatever, it does the band a disservice. So you're right. So if they're able to control that with proper quality and maybe even streaming these things live, it could be a way of getting around it. But again, the people in the crowd won't be streaming it live. They'll be having their own proper people.
So we'll cover this in the next couple of weeks as well, where it came down to bands who are not receiving their monetary value, especially with streaming websites and all that as well. So we'll touch on that later. But to finish off this segment, this could probably potentially be something that could help bands financially in the long run.
Oh, it could be. Yeah, that's right. That's right. If you're shutting down people from being able to record a gig live and coming back later on YouTube, and these the bands themselves could potentially like sell live streaming to people in other countries. You're right. It could be a thing that could help them. So look, I don't think this Apple thing is good.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it shouldn't be needed. Like people in crowds should just be smarter and should just want to. I know they want to like keep it for memory, but I just don't think you do. I just don't think you get that recording and you keep those memories. Think, oh yeah, I remember being there, experience it, because you didn't experience it. You're too busy looking at your phone to really absorb the feeling. Like if you have this ticket stub or you have a bit of merch, you're like, yeah, I remember that gig and I remember that was awesome. I remember getting the pit or whatever you do, how exciting. But yeah, I just think this is like a necessity in going to gigs now.
Yeah, look, to finish off, fans, I know you want to be the very best like no one ever was. I know to catch them all, the gigs, is your real test, but to see them is your cause. You'll travel across the wide, searching far and wide. I don't know where I'm else going with this, but Pokemon got to catch them all.
Yeah, I see where you're going. I don't want to stop you. You seem to have like done quite well there, Matt. How's he going to time gym into this? Just to get the badges. So I guess you get patches. They're like badges. So
yeah.
Something.
So on to our feature presentation, Danny. Omophagia, The Name of Chaos. This album has quite the emotional and physical reaction from you. It's a little bit like rubbing
Stilo, I'm guessing.
Yeah, like rubbing Stilo and Solvo on your skin. It's really got an immediate reaction to it.
Yeah, and like that, skin's left bright red, and you start crying. So
yeah,
I guess if you rub too hard, that's what happens with these riffs. Some of these riffs are so heavy and brutal that you can start getting a bit red in the face because you're just thrashing it out, man.
So we're going to talk the way we review albums. We got 5. We got 5 things that we always talk about. We got the riffs. We measure how good the guitars are on it. We got the vocals, which measure not only the style but also what they can be meaning lyrically. The diversity, how the band will change it up, and how you will save yourself having fatigue. The groove aspect of what it does to you. Does it make you want to know, make you want to punch a kitten, or make you want to adopt one? Lastly, we talk production, and that's basically the overall, is how all these beautiful things come together to give the listener quite the experience. So, Danny, riffs, and this album has a lot of them.
It does. The guitar playing and the drumming is definitely the highlights of this album. Being pretty much like technical death metal, sometimes they can get a bit repetitive, the songs, but no, they do quite well. And the riffs, each song has its identifying riff, I reckon.
Yeah, look, and the one thing where we come to when it comes to technical death is money, the money riffs. The riffs that you hear and you automatically open your wallet and just push it and down and pour it all over down just so you can hear it again for another time too.
Yeah, you feel so bad that you're YouTube streaming it that you actually want to buy them a CD and fund these guys to make more music.
Yeah, because why are we on YouTube? Go buy their stuff. We are all about the bands. Now, particularly the money riffs I'm talking about, like a minute 30 into the first song, Willing Whore, you really get a sense that these guys know when the big riffs are coming, and they really set it up to crush you down with them and make you feel really pumped. It's very much like an anthem, and it gets behind you, They've got the scale stuff that moves along 1,000 miles a minute with songs like, Man Machine. But again, when they know the riff's going to come that they know that they're proud of, they build it up like a minute 36 again into the song. So you start to see a bit of a pattern in that sense where they know where their strengths lie and they know where it isn't, in a sense, Danny.
Yeah, you're right. Instead of like other bands, let's say like hardcore styles, where when they know the money riffs come up, they'll build up, then they do like the big breakdowns. These guys are like the opposite. They know it's coming, but they actually kick it into like a second gear, and it's like a wall of sound going straight at you. So you just feel that, like, yes, I'm pumping up again. And
it was relieving to hear songs without breakdowns.
Yes.
When we listened to a lot of grindcore lately, when we saw Catacapitation and Ingested, and those guys are brilliant. Don't get me wrong. But hearing a band at this technical level, keeping it on the whole time, even when they break it into sections, they still have a lot of intensity and always push forward, which I think for me really helps. Especially songs like Until the Sky Turns Red, where the chorus still has a syncopated, guttural machine gun kind of thing going. But it never stops the momentum. It's always pushing forward, which really helps the energy of the album. Would you say, Danny?
Oh, yeah, definitely. The way they just keep hammering it into you is just great, and the backing up the drums and like double kicks and their blast beats, it's very very well. Riffs are there in the plenty, and in numerous tracks. You're not just waiting for like, okay, track, let's say 6 and 8, and that's it. The rest is just same. No, nearly every track has a very good riff coming into it.
Also that, and then when the solos come in and the sweep sections come in, like songs like The Leader, it just goes on, and you can see that these guys practice, They've got everything on their arsenal, any kind of technique, and look, big tick for riffs. I did not get tired listening to these guitar tones. It was a lot of joy just hearing how much fun they were having playing some really gnarly stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yep, solid choruses.
To our next section where the vocals, and Danny, you've got a lot to say about it.
Yeah, see, vocals for me, when I get to bands like this, because the singer here doesn't really have much variety in his tone or his delivery, in that, pretty much his tone of delivery. He does a little bit of screaming, but it's normally just the same, like, growl, have you describe it over and over again. So I thought, okay, well, to break it up, let's see maybe what he's trying to say is a bit more, deep and meaningful. And no, it is not. The lyrics feel like they're written by like a 15-year-old drama student. I mean, like, they're just it's as subtle as an orange giraffe in a tulip field. You just see. It's just there's nothing there. Look, I'm not. Look, to be fair, I'm not sure. Are these guys American, Matt? Do you know? Do you know where they're from?
No, I'm not too sure where they're from. But you maybe think there's a transitional thing with their native tongue to English.
Maybe like look, I'll give them a slight break. But when you see like bands like Aborted, and you see how well they use the English language, and they're Belgium. I know the lyrics are a bit like gross and gore based, whatever. But the way they're using words I've never seen before, and they're like again from Belgium. So these are just terrible lyrics. But Saving Grace is definitely the way he phrases the his notes or his words over the guitars and over the drums. So he does actually change up his timing and his tempo and a bit of his inflection, but dynamics. So I'll give him credit. He does that quite well.
Yeah, the way he phrases and the way he hits it, it's very much, it punches you where it needs to. He does some overdubbing stuff, which is very cool. His scream and his jump between growls. I think sometimes they even push it back behind the mix, where you can really get a sense of guitars. So I really do think that the drums and the guitars are at the front and the vocals there to help it. Whether they believe in their heart they're singing something that's deep and meaningful, or they just wanted to showcase his awesome riffs behind something that they could keep simple and chanty so they could reflect with a bigger crowd, perhaps. I have no idea. I'll need to interview them, and I'd love to. But again, yeah, the meaning got a little lost on me, but at least when they were there, it sounded pretty decent.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the vocal, like the name of the songs pretty much reflect their vocals quite easily. Again, there's no subtlety there, so you hear the title, you know what the song's about. Like Man Machine's just pretty much about people living day to day, like rock up to work, you live it, you go home, and that's it. Again, same as Willing Whore. Willing Whore is about you just keep doing what you're supposed to do. You don't challenge authority. So a lot of the album is pretty much like that. You just people who live life day to day, not really thinking about the future. Not
so ironically, maybe they were so deprived of influence of the songs because they're living that every day today. Maybe the lyrics are a reflection of that. Maybe these guys are better than we thought.
Yeah, maybe that's true. Maybe they're like, yeah, we're so trapped in this like one-dimensional world that we have to just be one-dimensionally thinking. So actually, Man Machine. Sorry, I got confused. Man Machine is actually about us staying from like a godlike image of being men to being turned into like cyborgs and not actually having just being logical creatures. That's what Man Machine is about. So like, again, I like metal bands who think like this because they see like normal social trends or thoughts or feelings, and they try to create songs and lyrics around it. But I just like to be a little bit creative with it. That's all.
Yeah. So what we'll do, we'll give it a. Do we give it a tick? Do we give it a recommendation, or do we just kind of leave it a little bit empty? This one.
Yeah. I don't think the vocals will make you want to buy this album.
Yeah, I'll agree. So we'll move on to diversity. And I think if you really want diversity in life, I'd recommend buying a colouring in book or, wearing your pants with the orange pants instead of the red pants, because this does one thing, and it does one thing either really well if you love that kind of sound, or you might not really like it at all.
Yeah, it's tricky because the songs do have their own little changes into them, but I guess the song structures are quite similar. They just change a bit of the riffing.
Yeah, they've got the drums that hit you. They've got the guitars that will go at you. And generally they'll break it up, but it still feels like one big entity of itself, really. And that is what they do strongest. And that's when they just throw billion riffs at you. They'll give you a little bit to breathe, but again, it's really about keeping the energy and intensity on fire the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, again, they do like tempo changes a bit in some of their songs. They do like nice little fast licks and like, I guess, arpeggios, whatever you guitarists call them.
Yeah,
so like
they
nice.
Do stuff like, they put the song Despair in there, which is literally a 45 kind of second interlude of a guitar solo, just so it can break up the difference between the dominant, which is one of the strongest songs off the album, and the leader, which has all the crazy sweeps and stuff, and has that neoclassical inspired middle section. And like for me, the dominant is that strong that maybe it was almost strategically placed, and that's why I kind of think the album was put together well, They knew what they were doing in a sense. The diversity in a sense was just about breaking up when it really hits you to where they want it to reflect more of a musicianship and then pull it back from the intensity a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it could be it. Actually, going back to the lyrics, there's actually one thing I missed on this. The track, the 910, is called The Love Song. Now, every time I hear like a metal band having the love song, I remember from that old Commonwealth Bank commercial break, like, guys, hey guys, can you play the love song? Sure. So I always think about that, but I mean, this love song must have been very spiritual or must be very poignant to them because they didn't actually put the lyrics in the book jacket.
Oh, they did the Alexi Laiho thing.
Yeah, that's right.
It was too much to devolve it to the listener, so they kept it to themselves.
Well, looking at the quality of like lyrics, it was probably something 15-year-old cheesy like, I miss you and I love you.
I don't want to believe they wrote it, so I'm going to ignore it. We'll just keep it with the diversity. And would you say it didn't give you fatigue? I mean, with the technical death, you can listen to it for 3 minutes and it sounds like 3 hours because it doesn't seem like the tracks have changed enough. Or did you find yourself the whole way through like, oh wow, that was cool?
Look, again, I reckon they do break up each song slightly with the use of like nice licks and good solos and break into the heavy choruses. So they do. The songs are broken up in sections, but again, a lot of the songs have the same type of setup. So then it's funny because it has the same structure, but they all have the little different sounds to them.
Yeah, I like what they do. They've especially with stuff like the incredibly, it sounds like a black metal section of the intro to this, but I think it's Down We Fall. Yeah, so they do this really cool minor chord progression, which is completely in opposite of almost anything else on the album. Then they got those like classical sections, which actually almost go into that happy kind of feel before it's gone to that dark insanity. So I believe inside of like technical death metal, they can actually cut a corner, slice themselves of doing things a little bit differently and creating an interesting listen, even if you're into like heavy onslaught music. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, look, I think that's bad for diversity. There's a little bit there, but again, it's if you like it and if you like this style, you'll like.
Yeah, I think it's easier to listen to as far as getting you into the technical death stuff than an album, say from Cattle Decapitation or even Cephalic Carnage or something like that, which is just so off the wall. Even Psychroptic, for example. I mean, sorry, my apologies, Cryptopsy. So this is a good way to get a taste of like something heavy and something grabs you, because some of these passages don't even have blast beats, but a menacing double kick underneath it, just to really give you a sense of how heavy the riffs are. But again, if you love that sound, it's going to be great, but if you don't, it might just crumble under its own weight for you.
Yeah, exactly right. So, maybe look, give a listen till I want the song. See if you like it, then you listen to more.
So we'll move on to... So diversity for me gets a tick, but it gets a tick with a warning. You know, this is a death metal album, and you're really going to know straight away whether this sounds for you. And, you know, move on to groove and see if... Yeah,
groove.
If it gets accessible for that sense, does it do anything for you, Danny? Did you get any kind of physical reaction to it?
Yeah, there was parts where I was bobbing my head along and tapping my foot along, because I was sitting down, so I can't really get too physical.
Yeah.
Start punching people on a bus, etc.
Bang, the bus driver. Oh, dude, it's cool. It's like Omophagia. Oh, that's all right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Omophagia.
on my face, yeah.
On my face, yeah. Yeah, on my thumb, yeah. Okay, yeah, no, I did think there was some good groovy parts in this album, especially with the choruses were pretty on point there, so they really got me to go along to them. So
when they do stuff like, for example, that really cool the chorus for Until the Sky Turns Red and all that kind of stuff like that. Even like Man Machine, you know, the choruses there are really strong. But again, when they break it up with some really cool stuff like The Dominant or, you know, Down We Fall, when they do break it up with those kind of grooves, it really gets you going. Like, it makes your heart pumping. And to be honest, you really should listen to this album when something amazingly annoying happens to you in life. You know, if you're working retail and that customer comes up to you asking to buy that one $3 item that then returns it 3 things without the label attached, the can opened and no receipt, and yells at you for 45 minutes how you failed at your life because you work in retail, you know, then you need to listen to this album, because it will do therapeutic things for you that no one else can do for you in your life, not even your parents.
This sounds like your Sunday night, like you're relapsing after work.
Honestly, yeah, for me, this album is definitely it really suits me when things are just not happening that day, and I look forward to listening to this album because it basically gets all those emotions and gets you to get it out with you with it. It's just so much fun in that sense.
Yeah, I think most songs will have a groovy part to it. The only downfall or letdown of the album will be the second last track, which is track 10, which is Wheel in the Engine. That's pretty much just a nothing track. I think they must have had a quota. They had to have at least 11 tracks on there, so they plugged that one in.
Yeah,
but the rest were quite good.
Yeah, you're right, Danny. The rest of it was really good. Again, the groove, you're gonna like if you're into the faster stuff in grindcore or the less than over the top technical stuff, but really heavy. This is gonna do it for you. If you're really getting into metal there for the first time, again, these grooves might just be too much for you. You might just hear and be like, it sounds like the same track. And I think you'll miss the subtleties of what these guys can do because their musicianship is through the roof.
Yeah, I mean, definitely the grindcore feel. I mean, Until the Sky Turns Red has a bit of an aborted feel to it. So
yeah.
There is a bit of that into it, which, again, it shows you a bit of diversity.
Yeah,
a little bit there.
It borrows a bit from, like, the groove death metal aspect to it. You know, some of those, like, decapitated sort of cup stuff with the machine gun to the really heavy stuff to the really fast stuff. So it borrows a lot from all that, even when it's at its lightest. It's still quite a heavy experience, though.
Yeah, no, I think it's particularly the groove section.
Yeah. So overall, Danny, the production, all these things combine into an experience for you. What did you come away with?
Well, I don't know, I think the bit of an unfortunate thing I'll start with is that it's only 11 tracks and 3 instrumentals.
Yeah, so it's a short album, really.
So it's technically only have 8 songs. So they have the intro, which is all like a nice, cool industrial sound. I guess it sets it up for the whole album, where the whole album is about, like, you know, pretty much people acting as machines in life. And then there's a song about war, you know, killing without any thought or feeling into it. So I understand why the intro is there for, but you know, and then they tried to do it again with track 8, the other instrumental. So look, unfortunately, a bit too many instrumentals for me for like an 11 track album. 3's too much. Yeah,
it gets to that point where you feel like, at least I feel like in metal, if you can get it around the 40 to 50 minute mark, it's like worth your 20 to 30 quid. Anything shorter than that, and some bands have been guilty of this when they're coming out and stuff, but these guys have got a couple of albums underneath them now. Overall, though, the production, everything's clean and everything's crisp. Like, they're pushing the guitars and the drums up right to the front. Sometimes where the singing gets dwarfed, but like Dean was saying before, you know, it just does what it needs to. It's there to support the guitars, really, anyway. Like, you're here to hear sweeps and scales played faster than Mangini could on, you know, Prozac.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, production was good. I do agree with Matt. Like, the sound is quite nice and quite clear. You put some decent pair of headphones on, and it comes across quite well.
Yeah.
Again, going back to the songs themselves, they don't do too much in the sound of adding add-ons like MIDI files, etc. I think there's only a couple of tracks where they might add in a bit of industrial sound, or they might do a bit of like overlapping with vocals. So they try to stay as pretty much just pure musicians like they would probably do on stage.
Yeah.
So I think that's for production wise, there's I guess not too many tricks, I guess, or bells and whistles there.
So really, this album, you need to listen to probably one track. And if I were to really recommend a track, for myself personally, I would say The Dominant. If The Dominant doesn't do it for you, this album isn't going to do it for you at all. Because I can't imagine, like, this song does everything that the album does, but does it so well. It has everything that we talked about thrown into it, but not to show off. It's all for the betterness of the song. And it's where the weight of the album will hold you all together for you, or you'll be crushed by it. So in that sense, really, I give this one a really big tick. For me, it's a really good album. I know some of the things we're saying are problems, but to be quite honest, these are minor nitpicks. And in fact, you know, we wouldn't say change it, because this market that's out for it deserves to hear a band at this high of a level.
Yeah, musically they're great. The guitar and the drum is fantastic. Like, again, the singing as a percussive instrument, it does quite well, and where he hits it and how he does his tempo changes, etc. So, and phrases. So musically they're great. The lyrics is just me having a bit of a moment because they're just terrible. But I mean, the way it's presented, the book jacket's great artwork. Inside the members of the band have their like bit of machine cyborg looking parts. Well, that looks quite good. So it's presented well. It sounds well. So
yeah, look, as a guitarist, I might even rate this album right up and amongst my top ones of the year so far. Will it take off Flesh God Apocalypse the King? I don't know. I don't think so. But again, leave it with us, and towards the end of the year, you can hear our thoughts and feelings of all the albums that we've talked about. But overall, Danny, What do you think?
Yeah, I think this album, like that hit and run you did, it will just grow on you. So like the guilt grows when you do that hit and run. Like this album, the more you listen to it, the more you think about it, the more it grows on you. So
Yeah.
I think it's definitely I do agree with it, and I do like it. Again, like Matt's saying, if you're not massive into technical death metal, you probably will get through one song and that'll be all she wrote.
But if you're getting, I think if you've got an ear for it, you're really open as a musician, as a listener inside the metal confines. This album, you got to check it out.
Yeah, no, I reckon. At least do your favour and listen to one song, like The Dominant, or even the track 2, which is Willing Whore. Listen to those two, and I think, I'll go from there.
Yeah, that Willing Whore with that really cool Hypocrisy intro, that's so awesome. It just gives you a feeling of like they're into melodic death metal, at least the heavier parts of it, all the way through to your just crushing death, brutal, truck that falls on top of the skyscraper onto a land of guns. It's that bombardingly awesome.
Yeah, and if anything, it's fun to say the name of the band.
Omophagia.
Omophagia.
So with that comes to the end of our Super Metal Brothers podcast. But we can't finish the show without telling our listeners the big news.
Yeah, we promise you big news, and big news you shall be prepared for. So make sure you sit down. Make sure you're not playing Pokemon Go. Make sure Corey Taylor's not watching you play Pokemon Go. Put the lights on so you don't trip over anything. And I'll let Matthew do the honors and tell you what will be occurring in the coming week.
So next week, you will be hearing and seeing the return of Super Metal Brothers on Andrew Hogue Radio.
On Andrew Hogue Radio.
Give Andrew Hogue a round of applause for having the biggest brain collapse that it must be in the history of our existence, more so than when when Bill Clinton decided that interns weren't going to tell lies, because they can't.
They can't, yeah. I think the cold weather's getting to them. So, we'll be on Andrew Hogue next Tuesday at 7 p.m. I think 7 p.m. Yeah. 7 p.m. Keep on our Facebook page and we shall inform you on the closeness of this day.
Yeah. So, basically, the biggest point with this is it's going to be live and we're going to want to interact with you guys. So, make sure you guys send us a comment or a like or whatever you want to do on the old Facebook and a request maybe, because we might even be able to play it for you. But more importantly, come check us out and hang out with us, because Andrew Hogue has really been nice to us and offered us some massive feedback on it at all, and wants us to be the best podcasters we can be. So, congratulations to Super Matt and Super Metal Brother Dan.
And to you, Super Metal Brother Matt.
Super Metal Brother Matt speaking here. So thank you very much for listening for another week. I thought this one was a pretty good one. Danny, your thoughts?
Oh, they're all good ones, Matt. All good ones. When you listen to metal and you choose metal as your life, you are blessed.
Absolutely. Check out Omophagia's In the Name of Chaos and check out some more of our stuff on the old SoundCloud. And until then, I am Super Metal Brother Matt.
And I'm Super Metal Brother Dan.
We've been the Super Metal Brothers. Thank you for listening once again, and we'll see you next week on the AndrewHogueRadio.com.
Oh, booyah. Have a good week.